Hey creatives, Shonda here again with another episode of the Power and Community Podcast. Today we have a pretty cool filmmaker on by the name of Dahyo Coleman. Dahyo is a cinematographer, an editor, producer. She does a lot of things, but she's going to talk to us today about aesthetics, how to bring other people's art to life, how to create a stage and a space for other people to express themselves. And she loves collaborating with other creatives to really empower them, empower their work, and empower those around her. And again, that's what we're about here on the Power and Community Podcast. Let's get into this episode. Okay, hey Dahyo, I'm so excited to have you on today's episode. I'm excited to talk to you, hang out with you, and just get your perspective on the world through film and media. But before we get started, I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people who you are.
Yes, so thank you, Shonda, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Finally seeing your face again. It's been like way too long. But who I am, I'm still figuring that out. But right now, a lot of who I am involves film. I like to direct, I like to write, I like producing, I like editing. Just being on set, being anywhere where I can be a part of a film community is kind of what I'm about and where I'm trying to be. And yeah, I'm an emerging filmmaker, and I just want to tell stories like every other filmmaker does.
I love the simplicity of your because it's sometimes so much more complex than I just want to tell stories, but that's what you really be feeling in your heart. And the reason Dahyo said it's been so long since she's seen my face is because she is a Nate Parker Foundation alumni, and y'all know I just been funneling them on here. I feel like the last 5 people of this season have been Nate Parker alumni, and we just a family or whatever. So I'm gonna dig into my family and be like, y'all want to come on here and talk about the amazing things y'all do. And so Dahyo is a part of that family. And again, I'm just so happy to be able to have you on here. So I just want to hop right in and just talk to you a little bit about just kind of what you do, but in a creative sense. Let's keep it fun. Let's keep it light. I have a question. So we have a lot of like young filmmakers who are just getting started. They don't know everything. And some of us don't feel like watching 30, 50-minute videos on YouTube. Some of us just want to write our script and get out there and just do it. So I have like a little prompt. I want you to be able to just kind of give us an idea of what you would do if you were in the place of new film students, new creatives who want to create things. So I'm a filmmaker with an iPhone 10, and then all I have is the iMovie app on my phone. That's all I have. iPhone 10, iMovie app. I might also have a script. What's the fastest way for me to put together a short film, including a team, location, the script, and just get it done like quickly? Is that realistic? Is that even possible? I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like stuff takes so long these days. And sometimes we just want to jump into being able to do it. Would you even say that that's wise? And if you could do it, how would you do that?
Yeah, I do think it's wise. I do think it's possible. I think as filmmakers, as emerging filmmakers, we put so much pressure on ourselves to like have the best film and the best script and the best team and the best location right off the bat. But I think a lot of the important stuff happens with the iPhone 10 and with the iMovie app and on the ground with your friends and just getting friends together and say like, hey, I know you don't act, but today I'm going to need you to act. And kind of going off of that, I think like where I would even start, I think the most important thing is just having a story and finding something that you want to tell a story about, something that inspires you, something that motivates you. And it doesn't always have to be a fiction film. It can be nonfiction, it can be a documentary, but you just have to have that passion to tell it. And I think the most important thing is passion. And I think as filmmakers, it's important for us to be mindful of the stories that we tell that we don't feel passionate about, because it can show through in our work. So it doesn't matter if you have the iPhone 10. The iPhone 10 is a great camera. It doesn't matter if you have an iMovie app. There's tons of videos online telling you how to edit a movie using the iMovie app. And I think a lot of it is just working across the board. We were talking about that earlier, just like working with who you already have access to and saying like, hey, like, I know you're not like super well versed on audio and like running sound, but, can I show you this tutorial? Would you be able to help me out, capture sound for the short film that I'm trying to shoot? And just like bringing your friends on, and that's your team, and just using the things that you already have access to, I think is more encouraging than discouraging as a filmmaker, because the worst thing you want to be told is, no, you can't do this here. No, you can't shoot this here. And it's more so like, I just want to tell the story. I don't want to go into the inner workings of like trying to get permission to like shoot at this location. I'm just going to use what I have and work around that. So I think it's very possible. I think it's important. I think the more practice you have, the better that you're going to get. And you never know, like this iPhone 10 movie might be like the best thing that we've seen in film for the past, 50 years. So you have to tell the story. You have to tell the story. And I think just starting small and looking at what you have access to already will help you push that narrative along.
Yeah, and help you be a better filmmaker. I think just getting out there and doing it. One of the things we've said on this podcast a couple times, especially when talking to Jahan Patterson, who recently got done with his film, The Heart of the City film, is that you can go to all the classes you want, but it isn't until you actually get out there and do it that you really understand what it's like to be on set and be a filmmaker. Even if it's your cousin and your friend down the street putting together something, you are gaining skills, even using these little bit of tools that you have. I have a funny question for you. What's the most embarrassing thing that has happened to you when filming on set?
Oh,
Tell me, like 2 minutes tops.
2 minutes tops. Okay, it's gonna be a little like TV TMI, but not too crazy. So I was on a film set last spring, and we were still like in the heart of the pandemic. So it was very, there was a lot of COVID protocol going on, thankfully. So we were all masked up and we were shooting outside, and it was 11 o'clock at night, and we were at this park. And I was drinking water all day long, like just drinking and eating and da 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 da. And so, of course, you have to go to the bathroom, right? And there's no bathroom in sight. No one's really letting you inside their buildings or companies to go to the bathroom because we're in a pandemic. And so that, I think the most embarrassing thing was just the fact that I had to go to the bathroom outside at night. And it's like, that just kind of made me realize, like, if you're trying to make films, you're trying to be a filmmaker, there's going to be times where you just have to compromise your standards of living to make it do what it do. So that's like the most embarrassing, but it's kind of just like we had to get it done. It had to happen.
Honestly, you can't run and go when you are on a set.
Right.
It's like go time, and
people need you.
We got this much light and we got to figure out how to solve this issue. I mean, you can't run all the way to the porta potty, or you can't run all the way back to the building with the bathroom and to get it done. Like, you just kind of got to be out there doing the work. And so you would have to, girl, did they give you tissue, girl?
We had paper towels and stuff like that, and hand sanitizers.
I am cracking up. I'm like, look, as long as you had something to wipe, girl, you was good. But okay, TMI. I'm just saying. It
was fun.
Okay.
It was fun.
Cool. So, something that I've been thinking about recently is as a older person now, 27 years old, I often think about who I was as a child. And TikTok has this trend that I keep seeing where the people are talking to their younger selves. Like, they'll put on the screen 10-year-old me and then me now, and they'll be talking to their younger selves about, like, this is what you're going to go through and it's going to be terrible. Or this is going to be fun or whatever. And you're going to get to the place you want to be. And then the younger self is like, do I survive it? Am I okay? And then they're like, you do. And you're better for it. And it's the slow music in the background. You know how dramatic TikTok can be. So it's all of that. And so when I think about those TikToks and stuff, I kind of want to know, what would you say to your 10-year-old self now, like being who you are now, even though you're still figuring it out? I know you said that. What would you say to your 10-year-old self?
Oh man, I think I would tell 10-year-old Dahyo that you can do hard things. Like, you are capable of doing hard things and surviving. I think there are so many times where I have held myself back from speaking up or from pursuing opportunities or things that I was interested in out of fear, out of anxiety, out of telling myself that I'm not capable, I'm not worthy enough. And so I think telling myself as a 22-year-old, telling my 10-year-old self that, like, you can do hard things and, like, it will be okay, I think would be a really important thing for me to hear, because there is so much anxiety, you know, based around like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure when you were 22 and now you're 27, there are things that you wish you could tell your 22 yourself to watch out for or to know what's coming your way. And so I think like, be patient. You can do hard things. You know, fear might always be there, but it will no longer stand in the way. And I think, yeah, I think that's a really important message that I still have to remind myself today.
Oh my gosh, speaking to me, like you're like, I literally told myself recently that I can do the hard things. I just have to do them. They're always going to be scary because you haven't done them yet.
Exactly.
But you can do them. And once you do them, you become a pro at that thing. And then there's the next hard thing and the next hard thing, but you always have to like force yourself to go over that hurdle and just get it done, because you don't want to be a fearful person. And the only reason you're afraid is because you haven't experienced it. I have a 14-week-old puppy right now, and he teaches me a lot about that concept. We go on walks now. He just started going on walks this week, and he is very aware of like the parts that he likes. He's like, okay, all the way up till we get to this street that I know there are other dogs on, I'm cool. Turn around. Let's go back home, because I remember yesterday when I walked down this street, there were dogs barking at me and I did not like that. And it was tail between the legs and he was freaking out. So he reminds me so much. I have to still push him past that, because I don't want him being a 3-year-old dog and afraid to walk past the street. So it's just like, he reminds me so much that when you don't know, because the only reason he's afraid is because he just doesn't understand it yet. It's not normal to him yet. He's only went through it once. So let's also talk about how you got to go through it multiple times to even get used to that feeling.
Yes.
But and once he goes over those hurdles, I've seen him jump over hurdles now in his little puppy life. And I'm like, I remember when you were scared to go down the steps. I remember when you were scared to jump off of that. And now you just do it all the time. You know what I mean? But it is about growth. I'm like, my little dog teaches me about life all the time.
Yeah.
But following up, has there ever been something that somebody's told you you couldn't do? And how did you overcome that? And who told you? Because I'm nosy.
I don't.
You ain't gotta say who told you.
We're just dropping names. I don't think anyone specific that I remember has ever told me I couldn't do something. I'm sure if they did, I just completely like blocked them out of my life. And it's like, you know, I'm not even gonna let you like penetrate my energy like that. Like you don't deserve to have that claim over me. I think like, yeah, no one's really ever told me that I couldn't do something that I wanted to do. I think I'm very thankful that I've had family and friends who have been very supportive of the things that I have wanted to do in this life, which I know like not a lot of people have that support. So I recognize that privilege and I'm very grateful for that. I think if anyone's telling me I can't do something, it's me. And we are our biggest enemies. I think I also had an epiphany the other day about what we were just talking about in regards to like, you know, no two people have the same dreams and aspirations in life. Like they might be similar, they might be focused on the same things, but we all have different things that we want to achieve in this life. And it's like, it's literally because like these dreams were given to you specifically for a reason to you. And so that's why it's scary. It's scary because you know you can achieve it and it's big enough. You know, if you're dreaming big enough, you're going to be scared by your own dreams, because it's like, how could I even fathom? How could I even think that this is possible for me? But it is for you, because it wasn't given to person B, it was given to you. And so I think like also reminding myself of that when these ideas pop into my head or the things that I want to do, it's like, you know, it's created for me. And so reminding myself of that allows me to not tell myself that I can't do it, because why else would I have these dreams if I couldn't do it?
Yeah, because a lot of the stories that we tell when we're talking about telling stories that are important to us, like you're saying, are unique to us. And like only we can put our flavor and our seasoning on that. And so when we think about how stories have to be told, we have to remember that it's important for us not to let what other people's projects look like or how other people do it, which I'm so grateful that we're talking about this because we're about to jump into aesthetic really soon. So I'm super excited about that. But just like realizing that only we can tell this in a way that will affect the audience in a way that it needs to be effective, versus how somebody else can also tell it in a different way that will bring about a different effect. But when you're writing, in like 3 minutes, tell me how you quiet that person in your mind, or when you're directing or editing, how do you quiet that negative part of you in your mind?
I think that's a really good question. I think a lot of that negativity comes up when I'm about to direct something, because I can write, I can edit all day long because it's just like me and my computer. I'm by myself. There's no one looking to me for like what's next. I directed my first like short film last year, and it was like a full production. I had the whole works on set, and it was like, as the director, I'm at the head of the ship, and I have to figure out like, okay, when are we going to eat, where are we going to eat from, and relaying that to the producer to then carry that out. And so I was very nervous going into that because I've never been in, it's been a long time since I've been in a situation where it was like I had people looking to me and answering to me. And so I think a lot of it is just affirming yourself in these spaces. We deserve to be in these spaces. We deserve to take up space, and these stories have to be told. And so who's going to tell them? It has to be you. So it's kind of just like just the same thing. Like, fear may not go away, but it's not going to stand in the way. It has to get done. So I just had to like, pull my boots up and make it happen. And I think as you continue, as you get in the flow and the rhythm, that negativity and that negative voice telling you, oh, you can't do this, it starts to quiet down because it sees that you're in your element, you're doing what you love, and it's not gonna get in the way when you're doing something that you love. So I think being out of practice as a filmmaker can really have a negative, not a negative, but like a hard toll on you, as opposed to like, constantly creating and stuff like that, which is why it's so important to always create so you don't fall out and you don't start to question your worth in these spaces.
I love how you said being out of practice, because a lot of the times when you don't get those opportunities, that is when the fear sets in, as opposed to if you did it once and then you don't get to film again until 3 years later. That's why it's important to do the things that you're doing. I was on your website, I was stalking you, and I see that you work with your friends and you work with the creatives around you, because you get more opportunities, as opposed to let me submit this to work with this bigger thing. Like, you still do those things, but if you don't get it, you're still getting access to being a director, an editor, a producer, and just being in those environments and taking those projects seriously, because your friends' projects are serious. They want to convey a message as well, and they're passionate about those things too. So you do have to take it seriously. But that being out of practice, so often we look at people and we say, oh my gosh, look at them, they're so good at what they're doing, but it's because they're practicing. And that's why it's important to use the little iPhone app. Use your iPhone itself and get it done. Don't wait for people to recognize you and put you in the space, but you put yourself in spaces that are available at the moment. 100%.
Yeah, you got to make it happen for yourself. Because like, you'll just be waiting in your bedroom for someone to make it happen for you. You got to make it, you got to do it on your own sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm again, you preaching to me. I'm in a space where I finally finished the script and I'm waiting to hear back to see if I got it, because I submitted it. And I'm just like, but if they don't, what's your plan B? And so I'm talking to my friend, and she's like, you need to get your production list and your budget, write that down, get an Excel sheet going. So
that story still has to be told.
It has to be told, whether you won the competition or get to do it or not.
Exactly.
Get your stuff together, because you might have to build your own team. And speaking of your own team, I kind of want to talk to you about like just your aesthetic in general. Okay. Hashtag, this is all about aesthetics. This is part of the podcast. And I do want to get your perspective on like, and I hope I asked this question right. I sent you the questions ahead of time. I was like, how can I ask this? Are you a collaborative director, creative, like cinematographer, or are you very independent when deciding what you want to show when shooting a project? As in, when you get the opportunity to shoot, which I know you do a lot of poetry videos, helping people kind of add imagery to their words. Are you sitting down with that poet and being like, what do you want to see? Or are you like, oh my gosh, I already have a vision, just trust me with your baby, and you just kind of go in and do it?
Yeah. So for the projects that I've been working on, these kind of like poetry based projects, a lot of it is from me. I approach these people and I'm like, hey, like, I really think you're interested, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to work with you. And they're like, oh, of course, like I'd be so down to do that. And from there, then we'll start meeting, and I'll kind of put together a storyboard. And I could send it to you if you want to like put it like an example, but I put together like a storyboard or a mood board of like the visuals that I want to achieve in this project. And then we kind of go off of that. And sometimes what will happen is they'll write something to it, or I'll write something to it. I'll give them like an instrumental, and then we'll kind of layer it together like that. But yeah, a lot of it is like me kind of taking that in, oh my gosh, Malcolm, edit that out.
Yes, Malcolm, do your job, edit that out.
Okay. But a lot of it is me taking the initiative and saying like, I want to make this with you. This is what I have in mind. And then kind of going from there. And I think that's really worked in my favor because they see that like, okay, I'm not just like saying like, oh, let's create something. What's it going to be? It's like, no, I want to make this. And then we kind of work together to make that happen. But I think there was a second part to your question about like collaboration and yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, yeah, that's the
Okay.
second part. Sorry, edit that out too, Malcolm.
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you, Malcolm. So collaboration is very important to me. And I've been learning how important it is to me like over these past couple of months in terms of just like I can't do it all by myself. I've had projects where I've written, directed, edited, shot, all of that. And it really, it's not fun. It's not what you want to do. You don't want to be the one who has to make it all happen by yourself. Because like we were talking about, you need to practice. Like when you're playing basketball and you're, a point guard, or you're the one who's dribbling the ball up the court, you're not also like practicing how to like post people up in the paint, you know what I mean? Like you're practicing how to be a point guard, you're practicing how to run the plays and stuff like that. And so like if you are interested in cinematography, you know, doing audio and capturing sound, they don't really go hand in hand because it's like I need to practice being behind a camera. And so when you have to do everything by yourself, you don't really get that practice. And so I've been really just focusing on collaboration. I am in film school, and like we were talking about, you don't need film school to make films, because that happens outside. That happens when you're actually making the films. That's when you really learn. And so I'm very grateful for film school because now I have friends there who do love audio or who do love cinematography and videography that I could bring on and say like, okay, let's make this little team. And we have this little team that we've been running around and just making these projects with, and it's been really helpful. One, just because like I can focus on the things that I love, but two, I'm building these relationships and we're learning how we all act in these situations and create, so this way our relationships are stronger, and that just like helps on the set, and that really shows through in the passion when we finally do finish the project.
And you could totally see that in your work, that
Thank you.
it's a collaborative effort, that you all have a passion for what's being shown. I love the shots. I believe in one of them, and I cannot remember the name, I'm so sorry, but
okay,
because I watched a couple of them. So I saw one where you shot this pink rose, like I thought that was so dope. And then there's another one that seems like a guy talking about maybe romance or a relationship, and they have the white sheets over their faces and like their hands.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. I was like, I love this. And I loved the white sheet. Mainly what I remember is that he was talking about the challenges of relationships. And so kind of having that white sheet over to kind of not allow us to see clearly, which is about being transparent and communicative in a relationship, which is like how relationships work. So having the white sheet over to me translated to like not seeing clearly and not being great at communication and kind of struggling. So I love that so much. What's your favorite project that you like, the favorite thing that you've shown? You don't have to pick one. I don't want your friends to be like, girl, so you ain't like my video. But I'm talking about like, what's the favorite thing that you've shown imagery wise that you were like, yeah, we did that?
Yeah, I think there's two. Can I say two? Okay. The first one is I did my most recent project that I did. It's really not like I don't know, it'll be on my website soon, so I could send it to you. But I really enjoyed working with him because he was just like kind of down to do whatever, and like he trusted me to carry out the imagery, to carry out the project. And so we were in New York, and we went to this beach in New York City, which like you don't think beaches exist in New York City, but they do. And we were in the water, like deep in the water, and he was like, it was like up to his neck, and he was just like in the water. And then we got gold paint and we painted his hand like completely gold, and it was like dripping down his hand, and it just went with the things that he was saying at that time. And it was like this surreal moment of like, I can't believe like, someone just like was willing to just go into the water. He can't swim, but he was like, I'll do it, like let's make it happen. And so just getting the beauty of those images was really cool. And it was like one of the first times that I felt really affirmed as a creative, and like, I have a creative brain. You can't really teach creativity. It's like, it's within you. And so being able to see it executed the way I envisioned it was really cool. And then the second one is a project that isn't out yet, but it will be out soon. And it's with this Black woman, and she puts we got like this cowrie shell headpiece. It was custom made from Africa, and we got it brought over here, and she had that on her head like towards like the end of the scenes. And I just thought it was just so powerful to see like parts of our culture intertwined in these like beautiful shots. So like I'm really proud of like getting that shot and what we were able to get with that project too. So I can't wait for people to see it, but yeah, I love that for sure.
I love how you're just like, it's not out yet, but it's coming. And I'm just like, yes, booked and busy and getting things done. Like, that is so cool. But yeah, like, I love how you talked about that, just that moment of being affirmed. Like, I do have a creative brand. I do have things that I have to say, and I have creative ways to show it. And I think oftentimes we just don't believe that about ourselves. And that's why, again, going back to getting in the field and doing it is what affirms that in us. Like, oh, wait, I can do this. Like, I'm awesome at what I can do. And I think the comparison thing, and we've talked about this a couple times on the podcast, when you're doing it, you get a lot of confidence in who you are, and you don't have to sit on the sidelines and say, look, Dahyo's doing this, or other people are doing this, and I'm not doing, because I am active in who I can be active with in those spaces creating. And I can just be like, I'm proud of myself. I'm developing a portfolio, because these videos will matter for you later down the line when you're trying to get other jobs that are larger and bigger, and just working with people who may be more, accomplished in the industry. They will look at those things. Like, I think we downplay our stuff so much, and we just like, these are just things I'm doing with my friend. But it's like, no, boo, when you applying, they gonna go to your website, and they probably will scroll all the way down to see what you used to do, you know what I'm saying, before you got that opportunity. What do you do on downtimes in between not having projects to do? How do you kind of keep your spirits lifted up, stay adamant about, I want to be a filmmaker, and it is what it is?
I think downtime is spent like just like, I don't know, consuming content. Like, I'm on TikTok a lot. I'm always watching Netflix, HBO, just like relaxing. I think one thing that we don't allow ourselves to do is rest. And we're always like, go, 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 what's next, what's next? And like, as filmmakers, as creatives, you always think you have to be doing something, because we do compare ourselves so much. But like, just also like in these moments where I'm not doing anything, just reminding myself like, every opportunity that I've had or is coming towards me is meant specifically for me. So and it can't, and if it's meant for me, it's not going anywhere. There's nothing that I could do to not make this opportunity happen. So like, just chill in that and know that like everything is working for you, whether you're working or not. And that allows me to just allow myself to just relax and just chill out when I'm not creating. But then I'm also like, as I'm sure you know, as a creative, you're always thinking of the next story, or you're always being like inspired by like this one quote you saw on Instagram, like, oh my gosh, like this is like perfect for this story that I want to tell. So yeah, just like consuming, and also just like not really just thinking and keeping your brain moving, but also just like resting sometimes and playing video games or hanging out with friends and allowing yourself to live, because we are young and we don't have to have it all figured out by now. Tomorrow we're not going to wake up and be, Emmy award winning filmmakers, and that's okay. And I don't want to be an Emmy award, because like the things that I have right now, I'm not ready for Emmys. And so yeah, just resting and relaxing and just doing things that make me happy and finding what those are, and then just allowing things to come to me, allowing ideas to come to me. And then if that idea sparks something, then it's like, all right, now it's go time. But if it doesn't spark anything, then it's like, all right, we're chilling.
Speaking of consuming content, do you have any cinematographers that you mimic? Like, you just love their stuff so much and they are a huge part of your own aesthetic when you're filming or directing or editing?
Yeah, not cinematographers, but film directors. Two of them, one is Barry Jenkins. He wrote and directed Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, Medicine for Melancholy, and I pull a lot of influence from his works into my works. And yeah, I'm always studying him. I'm always reading his scripts. I'm always rewatching his films. And then there's another film director. He is a Korean film director. His name is Wong Kar-wai. And he is who inspired Barry Jenkins. So it was just like, I found him like separate from Barry Jenkins, but then when I found that they were connected too, I was like, oh my gosh, like put me in line too. But I'm just really inspired by the way that they tell stories. I'm inspired by the way that they tap into different audiences and reach diverse amount of audiences, and also tell stories that are based in and focused in on their culture and their people. And I think that's kind of what I want to be about, what I'm trying to be about. And so yeah, those are who I'm really inspired by.
Yeah, somebody told me, because I also write fiction. Somebody told me, if you want to be an author, read books. And I think we have to remember as filmmakers during that downtime, you need to be watching people's stuff. And I know for me, sometimes it's hard because it's that comparison voice in the back, like, look, never be able to do. But it's just like, fight against that, because the people who you love were inspired by somebody else too, and they watched movies and they studied and they focused on things. And I even love how you said rewatching, because I recently understood, like over the last year and a half, that watching a movie once is not good enough. You really need to watch it maybe 3 times to kind of catch those things, and really start to be able to watch stuff with a movie eye. And it's so funny because I feel like I can't even enjoy going to the movies anymore, because now that I have
always been like looking at things.
Yeah, I'm just like, I know how they shot that, or I see. Okay, y'all edited right there. Somebody else ain't see that, but I saw that cut right there.
That's not the real hand. That's someone else's hand.
Like, you just be knowing all of the tea from having your own experiences. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, it's so important to study to become good at your craft, and not study in a way to compare yourself, but study in a way that readies you for your own opportunities, and also builds, because studying does build your skills as well. Being able to watch and say, I want to imitate that, does build your skills. And then you can just feel really good about yourself when you actually do it. And I am so glad that I am catching up with you, because I actually want to do a poetry album for myself. And I have like 6 to 8 poems written already, but I'm struggling to find people here in Cleveland that want to do that. But I thought I was original, and I'm not, because I'm seeing you already doing it.
You are original, because no one's doing it like you.
Oh, okay. I know you better bring it back around. I know you better because I was gonna ask you what's something inspirational you could say to the young people and the teachers and stuff listening in who want to be creatives and make film. And I love that nobody's like you.
That's really because if you think about it, everything's already been created, like it's all been done in different ways. But I think like no one's thinking about it how you're thinking about it. No one's approaching it from the same angle as you, and that allows you to have some individuality in the things that you approach. And also, I think another thing that's very important is your purpose as a filmmaker. And I think we went through the Nate Parker Foundation, and we spent a lot of time learning about our history and our culture and where we come from and how we operate on this land. And that really, having that cultural background really allows you to identify your why and identify your purpose behind the stories that you want to tell, because that automatically separates you from the 100,000 million filmmakers who want to be filmmakers, because they're just going, they don't know why they're doing it. But like, once you know why you want to tell these stories, once you know the community that you want to reach, and the reasoning behind why you want to tell these stories, that just allows you to really project and propel into being your own filmmaker. And no one can tell you you're a filmmaker or not. That comes from you and the things that you see and the things that you want to label yourself as. But it's really important to find your purpose and your why. I think a lot of that comes from learning where you come from, learning how your people got here, who your people are, because it allows you to answer those hard questions and to ask those hard questions and to challenge the things that you see in your pieces. And yeah.
Girl, we could talk about so much stuff.
I know.
I literally was in my head when you was talking, like, that's how you clear a chick, okay? Because that's exactly what needed to be said. Only you can tell the stories that you need to tell, 100%. Dahyo, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
No problem. We have been talking to Dahyo Coleman, okay? Director, producer, editor, writer. She's amazing at everything that she does. Dahyo, tell us where we can find your stuff. I want to hear about your website and your social media.
Yes, so my website and social media are all Dahyo Coleman. So that's DAHYO COLEMAN whether you're going. But yeah, I love whoever is listening. Thank you. I'd love to connect with anyone on my website or through Instagram and Twitter. My Twitter is not really film focused, is a little more, but yeah, Instagram, Twitter, my website, Facebook, all that. I love to connect with you all, and that's where you can find me.
Yeah, Twitter messy. I recently
No.
deleted mine and then I made another one in like 2 days.
It's real
But
messy.
it's a little bit messy, but please connect with Dahyo, get into it. She has a lot of valuable content that I think we all can learn from. And yeah, she's interested. Listen, she flew out to New York. She going places and she's interested if you're serious to work with you and kind of help you tell those stories, or maybe you want to be a part of something that she's doing. I don't know, but you should follow her so you can keep up with her. And then speaking of social media, don't forget to follow us on social media at artofme.org on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook, we are Art of Me Productions. And then also check out our website, www.artofme.org, where you can see the other episodes of our podcast. You can also donate so we can continue to bring amazing content to you like what we're doing right now. So check it out. All right, y'all, continue to create and be yourself. And I will see you on the next episode of the Power and Community Podcast. See ya.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
What's up, Art of Me fam? Shonda here, and I'm the host of the Power and Community Podcast, and I have a cool message for you. I need you right now to go head over to www.artofme.org, find our contact button, and hit donate now. That is the only way we're going to be able to continue to bring you amazing content, like talking to our filmmakers on podcasts, interviewing different communities in our publication, and then creating animations and short films. We want to continue to tell stories that are important to you. Head over right now, www.artofme.org, hit contact, and then hit donate now in order to help us fund amazing stories that are important to our communities. See you soon.